So, welcome to Talking Timber with me, Mike Jeffrey.
And me, Keith Fryer.
And as I hope you already know, Talking Timber podcasts cover a wide range of topics, and you can get more episodes from our website, www.talkingtimber.co.uk, and on Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah, we're there. We're there ready and waiting.
So today we're talking to Tom Compton, director of one of the largest specialist temperate hardwood suppliers in the UK, English Woodlands Timber, EWT, and they're based in beautiful West Sussex.
Yeah, it's a really lovely part of the world. And I guess at this point, I do need to declare a slight interest as I'm a non-exec director of EWT, but that's beside the point. It's great to have you along, Tom. Hi.
Thanks. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
So EWT, their focus is on providing high-quality timber, predominantly UK and French hardwoods, in a wide range of grades. They have on-site machining facilities, which have allowed them to push forward in what has been a very tough market for some time now. And part of their success is down to their strong links back into the forest. And I just remember, I think the first time I came across EWT was reading one of your newsletters and thought, what this is a characterful business, because the top story was about wild strawberries growing under your bulls in the yard.
I do remember that one. We were. Made an impression. We made an impression. Yes.
Yeah, and then we got the orchids. I've been around there. There's some nice orchids growing here, there, and everywhere as well. And you're very careful with them all.
Very careful. Graham's orchids, actually.
Yeah.
One of our guys. He loved his country flowers.
Yeah, no, it is. It's quite special. But at the same time, you know, in fair play, EWT's a commercial enterprise, and it's out there doing its stuff every day of the week. So how did you sort of get into it? What came first, Tom? Forestry or English Woodlands timber?
Oh, forestry. Yeah. I sort of fell into it, really. I was very lucky. When I was about 10, my grandparents retired, didn't live far from here, and decided to buy wood as a retirement project.
Yes.
Just like that.
Right.
And my job, when we went there, was to cook the sausages on the fire. So I thought, well, this is good. And teenage years continued. I wasn't clever enough to be a doctor, like my old man.
Oh, is that what? Yeah, I see, yeah.
And I ended up deciding I'd take forestry at Bangor University.
Yeah.
So I studied a BSc in forestry.
Yeah.
And but through that process, I got really interested in conversion. And whilst I was at university, this is late 80s, we had a very significant event in the southeast in 1987, October. Mm. The big storm.
Big
hurricane.
Yeah.
Was that 87?
1987. I think October the 16th, 1987.
Yeah.
So once in a lifetime event, which decimated some beautiful woodlands in the southeast, particularly, including probably 20 oak trees in our little wood.
I think Tunbridge, was it 7 oaks came down to 1 oak or something like that?
7 oaks that one night, yeah. Oh, that night, rather, yeah.
That's right, but they're still called 7 oaks. They haven't renamed it 1 oak.
yeah. I think they've replanted them since then. Okay.
So my first little bit of timber conversion was clearing up oak trees blown over in the storm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I just loved it.
Yeah.
Because you open up all these many years of history. As a forester, you spend your time trying to grow it.
Yes.
But the story that's inside the wood is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after you'd done your BSc, what was the next?
So
what was your first job?
My first job was I just literally wrote to management companies saying, please give me a job.
Right.
And I was lucky enough that English Woodlands, which is the origin of English Woodlands timber, they employed me, and that was over in East Sussex, and I worked for them for 7 or 8 years, but ended up seeing to spend most of my time planting trees on the side of roads, which I think my last job was around the Ford Dagenham plant on the A13.
Well, you probably did a good job trying to hide that.
That was the end.
Right.
But I knew I'd been selling timber to Cocking
Yes.
as a manager, and luckily enough, fortuitously for me, one of the partners had some health issues and wanted to sell his share.
All right.
And I persuaded my wife to part with most of the money that we had left in the house, and we bought that share. And that was May 2000, so 25 years ago.
And was it called English Woodlands Timber then?
It was English Woodlands Timber, and it had come out of the company I was working for back
Yes.
in the 80s had bought it,
Right.
probably because they were owed so much money.
Right.
And they called it English Woodlands Timber because it was part of that business.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then subsequently that came into the ownership of the chap I bought my share from.
Right.
So that was my introduction.
So do you see forestry, your background in forestry in terms of selling timber, is it a help? I assume it is. I mean, that depth of knowledge?
I think so. Certainly, we talk in the business of it all starts with the trees.
Yes.
Because fundamentally, unless there are trees, there's no timber, and there's no timber trade. And I think it's always been very important to me because I know how hard it is how important it is to manage forests for timber, and to grow trees specifically for timber. There's a lot of other objectives and a lot of other things that happen in woods, but fundamentally the thing that makes them tick is the wood itself, and that's the cash that the owners need to be able to manage their wood. So having a strong market for wood helps those owners fund their management.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you select wood from standing timber in woodlands? Does that part of the?
We do, yes, but much more commonly now we are working with people that are presenting wood at roadside for us, because in most hardwood parcels, the bit we want is only about 15, possibly 20% of the total volume.
Yeah.
Right.
The rest of it is going for firewood,
Yes.
and other biomass products,
Yeah.
particularly in hardwood.
Yeah, I guess biomass is now a big part of the equation, isn't it?
It's enormous, and very helpful because
It's using every last scrap.
it uses every last scrap, and it provides. You can actually, if I went back 15, 20 years, you could hardly give it away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that market has enabled people to get into the woods, and that allows the good stuff to come out too.
Right.
Yeah. No.
And is the wood? Have you seen a sort of development in the quality of the wood over the years? I mean, is it?
There's yeah, well, in this part of the world, of course, we had that massive event in '87,
Yes.
which took a huge volume of standing stock. And so the trees that were left, people were very reluctant to cut them, of course. But I would say, honestly, I would say that the volume of quality wood is steadily reducing all the time now. So it is harder to get.
And that's where we step into the sort of the environmental sustainability issues. I know you're a great proponent of grown in Britain, and then we've got the other standards alongside that. But grown in Britain's a big thing for you, isn't it?
It is. It makes for us as a business where we're sourcing and promoting English hardwoods, it's the most relevant alongside PEFC certification for our business. Just a word on Grown in Britain. So I think they just had they're now 11 years old, or we were
Right.
one of the founder members of
Yeah, I
Grown in
know.
Britain.
Yes.
And I think they've now established very hard establishing a brand, but I think they've done a great job.
Dare I
And-
say similar-ish to Red Tractor? Is it something akin to that in the sense of...
Yes, I think that's with those messages, you've got to keep it really simple.
Yep.
And the Red Tractor is a really clever, good, simple
It
message.
seems it, doesn't it?
So I do like simplicity.
Yeah, yeah. But Grown in Britain, I notice it more and more as the years go on, and they've had some pretty good levels of PR about it. But ultimately, it's a force for good, isn't it? It's about caring for our forests.
It is a force for good, and I think that it's really important that people understand that if you have a good market for timber, that means that the owners can manage their forests.
Yeah.
And that means you have really good benefits for biodiversity. Those forests provide a lot of public benefit through recreation. Many non-cash benefits arise from forests. Obviously, carbon sequestration is very topical.
Yeah. One thing I did notice, actually, I'm not trying to trip you up, but you mentioned Grown in Britain, and you mentioned PEFC.
Yes.
But you missed one out, didn't you? FSC. So why
FSC.
did you not mention them just now?
Well, FSC, interesting. So FSC led the way, really.
Well, that's
and,
why I expected you to say it.
And we were actually one of the first hardwood mills to become FSC back in the day.
Right. Yeah.
But what we found was that, for example, if I wanted to sell some English ash, I had to buy that from a wood that itself was certified FSC.
Yeah.
Right.
And the barriers to that for many owners were quite high.
Yeah.
And so the pool from which we could actually source the material became quite limited.
All right. So it's not easy for small woodland owners to
very difficult for small woodland owners, and even
cost effective.
And there are many larger estates that they actually decided to go down that route. But to be honest, the standard and the requirements on them became ever harder.
Yeah.
And it's understand that FSC really was started with the tropics in mind.
Yes.
And they did, and I think they've done a really good job.
Exactly.
In that,
it's horses for courses, I think, a bit, isn't it?
FSC, we actually decided as a business that FSC was no longer appropriate for what we were trading, which was only one limited product range, which was oak from Croatia.
Yeah,
comes from an FSC, comes with FSC, and it's great. But as our business needs changed, there was just no point us carrying it forward.
Yeah. So is PFC, in your experience, as widely known as FSC? I mean, do your customers sort of acknowledge it and appreciate at PFC?
They do. Very, very few of our customers actually ask for the certificate.
Yeah.
But I think what they do like to know is that we are certified, and that process of then the diligence that we go through to make sure our suppliers are PEFC certified gives them that reassurance.
Yeah.
They trust us to do our job.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know you recently had your PEFC audit, didn't you?
Well, we did.
Yeah. And how did it go?
Well, much better than the year before.
Yeah. I think it went really, really well, didn't it?
I think we were all done and dusted in a couple of hours. So that was great.
That pretty much says everything about the way the company runs, that the standards are very high on that. And I think for people who are buying, let's face it, what are very expensive top-end goods, aren't they? UK and European hardwoods. They want to know that the provenance, they want to know that every element of that product is really, really good.
Absolutely. But for us, it's more than just the tick in the box. We're really interested and share with our customers, so we not only record its certification status, we can record, certainly in the UK, literally the wood it comes from. And that story and that connection, for some customers, is really valuable.
Yeah.
Makes them feel, it differentiates the thing they make from their competitors.
Yeah.
So they can have conversations with their customers, and their customers can share with their friends when they come and sit around a beautiful table or look at their nice joinery.
So the end users actually use the certification as a
absolutely,
as a plus for their products.
Yeah, no, it's really, and from a promotional point of view, we find it really interesting and helpful to our customers.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, I'm flipping back to Grown in Britain here. Is that label sort of widely known? Do you think and appreciated? Do you get much feedback about Grown in Britain?
We're very aware of it because we're we're a certificate holder. I don't think the wider public are as much known in it. People come to us and they say, I want to buy English because they have an inherent like for doing that. But whether it's actually comes with a certificate or not, they're happy for me to say it came from that wood over there.
Yes.
Literally. And that's good enough for them. Which is fine. But I think it's really important that we have a third-party audit process, and we support Grown in Britain in its work, because there are many other wider messages around Grown in Britain that is not just timber supply.
Yeah, it has got recognition from some fairly sort of top-end businesses. I remember a few years back, Heels made a big splash of Grown in Britain.
They've developed some very good corporate partners. Nando's also quite interested and tried very hard.
I'll have to remember that when I'm in there. So I wonder whether they'll get me a discount. So on the also on the forestry side, roughly speaking, do you think across Europe are we seeing an improvement in forest cover for particularly for temperate timber?
No, I don't think there's an increase in cover per se. I think there are huge challenges in forest health within the woodland. We're seeing a few years ago, for example, in southern Germany, there was a huge outbreak of a spruce beetle, Ips typographus. I haven't got that quite right. We just called it Ips.
Okay.
And that's now come across to southeast England. And owners, so a lot of trees are under stress, mainly because of dehydration.
Right.
So the very hot summers in Europe.
Ash dieback, of course.
We have ash dieback in the UK, of course. In France, where we source obviously a lot of our oak, those trees are under stress. They reckon 5 to 10% of the standing oak is dying.
Right.
And that means that it gets very prone to worm attack.
Yes. Yeah.
And that has huge implications
because
in production.
The tree's weaker.
The tree's
more
weaker.
Vulnerable.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a vicious circle, really. I mean, the drier the weather gets, the more vulnerable the trees are to pests, and also the pests survive
Correct.
because of the warm winters. So it's a sort of
that's right. Although perversely,
treble whammy or whatever.
In the last 6 months, they've had a huge amount of rain and are hugely challenged in getting the logs out of the forest.
Right.
So it's our weather patterns. We seem to have longer periods of hot, dry weather and or wet weather. Which is particularly challenging forestry operations.
Yeah. But I guess some people would assume, you're running a very traditional business, trading timber products, and we've been using these since the start of mankind. So for English Woodlands Timber, is it quite a laid-back type of organisation, relying on just the provenance to sell itself? Is that how it works?
No, that's not true.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like that to me.
No. Traditional products, modern systems.
Yeah.
Very modern. So it's, we respect the material, but to run the business, we have to be efficient.
Yeah. I mean, you're very much into, for instance, the mechanical handling side of things is very advanced there, isn't it?
Yeah, we've changed that a lot. 5 years ago, we were running diesel forklifts, counterbalance forklifts with timber on, literally stacked up, quite difficult, very traditional. We've moved that completely to a racking system with complete electric battery fleet, powered off our 140 kilowatt solar array, and it's a lovely, clean, pretty dust-free environment.
It is, which is great for the stock as well, isn't it?
Keeps the stock fresh, and more importantly, we haven't got people inside breathing sawdust and
awful
diesel
fumes.
So you use the latest sort of processing technology in terms of...
Our processing is, so just for the benefit of listeners, we don't actually saw round logs at our site anymore. Because we don't do the sufficient volume, we contract that out to a specialist mill. And we focus our effort on the secondary processing. And that is in the form of 2 cutting edging tools, a straight line edger, lovely. Anyone in the timber trade cannot go further wrong than a
Wadkin PU. I know, it's just the best. I used to use it as a kid, and brilliant bit of kit.
So it requires quite a lot of operator skill, and we convert a lot of Waney edge to square edge.
Right.
So you have to have good selectors who know what they're doing, and you need good machinists that know how to work the wood and understand the wood. It's really important that skill goes right the way through the business.
Yeah.
And how easy is it to get those skilled people these days? Do you train up your own people?
You have to train up. It's very rare now to find. In fact, I would say in the timber trade generally, most learning happens within the trade and on the job. There's very little formal education. I learned everything I learned is on the job.
I think that's sort of has been, but there are less tutors out there than there used to be, aren't there? And that's what we've got to really look at. But I was thinking also another thing. For instance, you use a lot of vacuum lifting, don't you, to take a lot of strain off people?
Yeah. So we made a lovely investment in a vacuum. A lot of that technology is very common in France.
Yeah.
We see a lot of it when we're doing our selections over there, and we brought that into the UK. I think we've got probably the nicest vacuum lift in the hardwood trade.
It's a really good piece of kit. Yeah. I saw it working very, very actively yesterday. Was there when it was very busy.
So it's much more efficient. It's much safer for the guys because these lumps of wood can be 300-400 kilos.
Wow.
We don't test it at that level that often.
Right.
But it's been a transformational bit of tool.
And talking about, talking about timber from France, what's the sort of percentage that you source from abroad in terms of your?
Yeah, so I would say in total sales, about 80% would come from France.
Right.
It's quite high.
Wow.
Which for a company called English Woodlands Timber,
yes,
there's a bit of a dichotomy there. But our English stocks are increasing.
Yeah.
And particularly around things that have a particular character in English. So English oak is different from French oak. The figure grades are really interesting, and that comes with Englishness, or Scottishness, or Welshness.
Right.
Ash, chestnut, walnut.
Yeah, walnut. There's some. That's a particularly nice.
You do get some amazing trees.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. Plane. That's
Plane tree.
Yeah.
Amazing, beautiful timber.
Any particular sort of notable big moments that sort of people might recognise? Of things you've sold or bought.
I had one walnut tree, which was almost as high as this room, and we're standing in a room which is about 7 foot high.
Yeah.
And it was like a bar of gold.
Really?
It cut beautifully. It's made some very, very impressive tabletops, about 12 foot long and about 4 foot wide.
Wow.
That are probably, I think out of one log, we ended up helping probably 10 or 12 individual customers.
Wow.
So they've all, somewhere around the world.
Yeah.
There are some amazing walnut tables. That was a special tree.
I bet. I remember the tallest ash tree, wasn't
The
it?
tallest ash tree, yeah, well done.
How tall was that?
It was tall. Well, it was in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah.
1974. And it was still growing in 2022. So it must have been a bit taller then.
So, can you remember what the length of it was, or the height, or it was blooming big.
It
when
was
I
blooming
saw
big.
It.
Blooming big, that would do.
It was the usable timber was let me think, 25 meters of millable timber.
So
and
about 80 foot.
It had grown in a valley in Yorkshire. Sadly, had fallen over it, sort of leaned over it in Storm Arwen, and in the way of the timber trade, I was walking around a yard in Yorkshire, and the owners said, "Come and have a look at this. What do you think?" And I was like, "Oh yeah,
Got to have that one.
got to have." And it was just, "Well, I've got to have it."
Yeah.
Was there competition?
Whatever the price.
Was there competition for it? Did anybody?
There might have been. I don't think I was the first person to look at it, but I'm from the south and they're from Yorkshire, and they thought, well, he's got a bit of money, he won't care.
Did you follow up what was made from that timber?
We did. We promoted it, and people connected with the story. There was some very nice tabletops made from it.
Yeah.
Actually, a guy works not far from here. We're in Petersfield.
Yes, in beautiful Hampshire.
Beautiful Hampshire. He's made some beautiful furniture. It's gone into the local market. It's all gone now, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But
it didn't last long.
I've got some other special ones. Don't worry.
You always do. I mean, that's the beauty of exactly what you do. And we've talked about sort of some of the species. I sort of had a little note here to maybe sort of run through the top 10, but I think we've pretty much covered the ones. But you also do quite a lot of cladding, don't you? Quite a lot of cladding material.
Yeah, it's a huge market, cladding. Lots of different products. We keep ours pretty simple, solid. It's solid wood, and it's either oak or chestnut or the softwoods. So the English softwoods, larch, Douglas fir, and western red cedar.
Yeah, yeah. So you got.
Can they be left to weather sort of naturally?
Yeah, they're all naturally durable.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're just sawn, air dried, and then put on the side of your put it on the side of your building. It's a bit more complicated because we can profile it, make it look nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is cladding increasing in popularity, do you think? I mean,
I think it's a huge market. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it looks really good. It's got great thermal properties. Most of our customers mostly into the domestic
definitely
architecture.
I'm proud to say the house I live in is sort of got Douglas fir cladding from the sort of the first floor up. And even if I say so myself, it looks really, really nice. Now it's 12 years old. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, and it gives you good 25, 30 year lifespan without any treatment.
Yeah, definitely.
And does that go to new build or mostly to refurb? Or?
No, it can go to new build.
Yeah, ours was new build. I think it's sort of a good mix across everything, isn't it? Refurbishments, extensions, people doing garages, what do you want to call carports, which leads you on to sort of sectional timber. You do quite a lot of large section, don't you?
Yeah, so through our oak beams, in any size a customer wants, within reason. We do get some crazy requests sometimes.
Yeah, I bet.
Often tie beams over internal swimming pools.
Nice.
And Douglas fir.
Yeah.
And we have some. That's one species in the UK which offers really good structural properties and long lengths. So Douglas fir and there's a lot growing around here.
I was going to say the availability is pretty good. I would think
it is pretty good. And if I go back to my forestry days when we're thinking about what to plant,
yeah,
Douglas fir is right at the top of the list for softwoods.
Because forestry these days, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but in my head I've got it that if we go back to post-war, it was all about putting down Sitka spruce by the 1,000 acres, and maybe not much of the sort of the other timbers. But now we're getting more of a mix being planted, are we? Or is that not true?
Well, it's sort of true. I mean, it's certainly up in. So Sitka spruce likes a lot of humidity and wetness.
Yeah.
So
Scotland's
it's
pretty
very good for Scotland and Northern England. Down in the south, they were much more. They used a lot of different species.
Yes.
And these mostly came from America.
Right.
The west coast of America. So Sitka spruce, particularly. Western red cedar, Douglas fir.
Yes. Yeah.
You know why it's called Douglas fir?
No, go on. No, I don't know.
So the seed was brought across by a Captain Douglas.
Okay.
And but he was he paid the local Indians to go and collect all the seed.
Yeah.
There was obviously a rate per
sack or something.
sack.
Yeah.
And they were pretty cute because they knew that the easiest way to go and get it was to go to the nests of certain birds and other things who would collect it for them. But they would nip out all the important bits of the seed to stop it germinating. So they had a nice winter store. So they just gathered all this stuff, put it in the sacks.
Fantastic.
But it didn't all grow.
No. But they were.
France has got a huge resource of Douglas,
Yes.
or Douglas, as they say.
Douglas and the silver firs as well.
And maritime pine as well,
Maritime
don't
pine, yeah. At French, they have a lot. It's not just all oak.
Yeah.
They've got a massive softwood resource as well.
Right. And going back to the projects that your timber is used for, I mean, are you? You said you followed what happened to the ash tree and the walnut. I mean, is it something you always sort of try and keep tabs on? What happens with that?
Luckily, we have so many customers we can't.
All right.
Or not every one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've just lost my thread on the question there, Mike. Just
what the timber is actually ends up being used for.
Oh yes, we do. Yes, and we really like our customers to show us what they're doing, and we really like promoting their work as well.
Yeah, it's a cross fertilisation, isn't it? Of that helps promote both ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what other interesting projects have struck you recently?
Over the
years.
Well, we've done some really over the years. We've been lucky enough to be involved in some really interesting projects on amazing buildings. The first one I was involved with was very thin oak glass for the grid shell building at the Wheel and Down.
Yeah.
Oh right, yes.
That's a beautiful structure, isn't it?
That was a beautiful one. and the first grid shell that was built in the UK, I think.
Oh, was it? Yeah, I remember it now. I can't remember how long ago it was. About 30 years back, 25 years back.
It's got
isn't it? Wow.
It is 20. Must be 25 years.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful structure.
And that led on to another grid shell, working with the same carpenters, the Savile Garden
At Windsor.
built it at Windsor.
Yes.
And that was English larch. And we worked with the estate, Windsor Estate, to cut some European larch trees planted in 1920-ish.
Yeah.
And we had to use those trees because you needed the demands of the structure required the larch to be graded to C30.
Wow, that's pretty tough.
Very tough.
Yeah.
And I think we took about 300 cubic meters, and we sawed it to these actually not very big section sizes.
No.
I think it was 3 by 2.
Yeah.
And I literally hand graded every piece.
Yeah.
Which was it was a very interesting job. The other thing, we had to make sure it was sap free.
Yeah, of course, for obvious reasons.
For the longhorn, not have longhorn beeches in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How has that weathered and lasted? Is it?
It's still up.
Yeah, right.
Touch wood.
Yeah.
Though it was the larch structure was great. It had an oak skin over the top, so a zinc top, zinc weathering, and then oak on the top. The oak, I think, has had to be replaced.
All right. Okay.
But we're sort of going to have to wrap up in a few minutes. But just trying to think about things. I mean, in terms of the world of timber that you're involved in, which do you like most? I mean, is forestry still in your veins deep down there, or is it the trading side, or what excites you most with the industry?
Well, forestry is very much in our blood.
Yeah.
We have a whole other company managing forests across southeast England. We employ 7 foresters. We're planting lots of trees. This year we planted 100,000 trees.
Wow.
Across 3 or 4 sites. So we're doing our bit. We're not just taking it out at the back end.
Yeah.
And foresters pass on in their generation to someone else. So we are benefiting from the work someone else did.
Absolutely.
80 to 100 years
It's
ago.
like what they say: plant pears for your heirs. It's the same thing, isn't
Something
it?
like that.
Yeah.
So I really love that part of the business.
Yeah.
But I also like trading.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I know you do.
But also it's the joy for me. The real, if you could give me my best day, would be take that our world record ash.
Yeah.
We found the tree, we converted it, we dried it, we really looked after it, and then we presented it to someone who can make something beautiful, which is going to last for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And knowing that that you're not just. I'm sorry, guys. You're not just a pack trader.
Yeah.
That would kill me.
Yeah.
The joy of seeing that being involved in the whole process.
Yeah.
Is what makes it special.
Yeah.
So you haven't lost your enthusiasm for the business at all?
Yeah, absolutely not.
No, that definitely comes across.
So where do you see the business in a few years' time? What have you got sort of plans and?
Well, maybe. I think the business is going to continue to thrive. I think there's a real place for solid wood. People really like it in their properties. It's not easy to do, and I think there are a lot of people in the trade maybe finding it hard at the moment. And I really, I'm with you. But let's just keep doing our job really well, and we'll be rewarded with good business for years to come.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, thank you very much indeed for coming
Yeah,
along.
it's been
really great to have a good old natter. Yeah, and hopefully people listening in sort of get that vibe. It's very important because, sorry, just a last point, just to sort of prove you do a lot online, don't you?
We do a lot online. We were crazy enough to start thinking that you could take a picture of a board and put it online and someone might buy it.
Yeah. And they do.
God. Well, and for a long time, they didn't. But then, March 2020, something odd happened.
Yeah.
And suddenly, our little online experiment, it probably kept us alive.
Yeah.
So when you say online, you're using social media and.
Well, we were literally making it available through the website, and
Right.
then promoted the opportunity to do it
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
We all laughed that it was Tinder for timber.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of swiping left.
Well, you have to tell me, what does left mean? Or no, let's not go there.
No.
They
let's
say
not go
grinder
there.
for timber.
Oh dear.
And then
I think we better stop, hadn't we?
yeah, I think we better. But then there's the shop as well, isn't there?
the
Because
shop.
again, that help promote English woodland timber, doesn't it?
It's all about accessibility.
Yeah.
It's actually quite hard, for the layperson. If you want to try and get some decent solid wood,
Yeah.
it's quite hard.
Yeah, but coming to a place like yours, they
Welcome people.
yeah,
Let them have
absolutely.
a look.
Take away some of the mystique.
All timber people, they like to touch and sniff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And giving, they customers, you can connect with your customers if you, you can connect over a piece of wood. I'm selling it, you're buying it. We appreciate it together as just a thing. Okay, there's a trade, but actually it's the connection, and those are the customers. We enjoy working with them.
yeah.
And I hope they enjoy working with us.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
been really
That's a
interesting.
great point to end, and
Yeah.
really appreciate you coming in.
Thank
Yeah.
you, guys.
No, pleasure.
That's been great. I knew it would be interesting from my first encounter with your newsletter and the wild strawberries under the balls. So I should never forget that.
What we normally do is Mike and I just have a little sort of summary of
fine.
how we feel that all went, and we'll do that for a minute, and then we can. Are you happy with that?
Yeah,
you
you
feel
just-
that went all right?
Yeah, it's lovely. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's that's the way it should be. It's
Yeah.
not. We're not trying to be sort of over the. They're reference points for people, and I think people listening to it might actually genuinely get something out of that.
Oh, yeah.
From
Come down.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Oh, good. Right, Tom. We'll just. Oh, is Tom there? I think we've lost him. I presume we're still recording.
Just have a sip of coffee and a bit hoarse.
Yeah. Because looking at the clock.
Still recording, gentlemen?
Yeah, we're about 30. We're about 30 minutes.
Yeah, you
weren't-
started at 4 minutes past 10.
So that was perfect. Good. I was just trying to keep an eye roughly on the clock.
Yeah, it was roughly
Sound coming through okay? Because unfortunately I hadn't thought about it for Tom. He obviously wants to turn around to talk, and then, but you got it all okay?
Yeah, because it will be picked up on all microphones anyway. So
Excellent.
when he turns towards you, it will be picked up on.
Okay, good.
We'll just do a little sort of
Great, yeah.
2-minute summary between Mike and I now. So we'll just do that, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Thanks. You ready?
Yep.
Well, that went rather well, I think, didn't
I
it,
think
Mike?
so. It was a great conversation. Yeah, very interesting. But I didn't thought it would be in advance from my previous encounters with English woodlands. It's always been a business that sort of stuck in my memory from the
Yeah.
first encounter.
I mean, inevitably, from my side, there is a bit of a bias. I'd be stupid to deny that. But you know that Tom really, really is literally steeped in this, isn't he? I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing, and there's a real care there about what the end customer is going to get.
Yes, and I think the whole sort of the linkage with forestry and the background in forestry, and how that's come through into the business. I think that was a fascinating aspect as well.
Yeah.
And as you say, following the timber through to the end user. I think that's something the industry should do a lot more. I think it's a good.
And there's a brutal realism as well about
Yeah.
the fact that Tom made it clear that it is growing all the time, the use of UK timber.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, European hardwoods, particularly French, are a big player.
Yes.
And there's no point denying that. It's
No.
just a fact of life. But I think people are starting to explore a bit more as well.
Yeah, exactly, and and there is a growing sort of. As part of the whole environmental awareness,
Yeah.
a growing desire to source local, and that
Absolutely.
that ties in with that. as
Yeah,
well.
we ran out of time, but I mean, it's something in our little business we try and promote is this carbon mileage. So we say to people, you want to build a carport, well, build it out of maybe English oak for your posts, say some Douglas fir or Western red cedar for the cladding, and da-di-da-di-da. And sometimes you can actually say that all of that wood grew within 20 or 30 miles of
Yeah.
where the building got
Yes,
put.
yeah.
I mean, and it's storing carbon.
Yeah.
It's an amazing story, really.
Yeah. And the grid shell at Windsor is a sort of prime example of that.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Timber that grew on the doorstep and is now a stunning building.
Yeah, it is. The Wealdon Downland one, I think, as well.
Oh, of
That's
course,
my
yes.
that's my little sort of pet favourite, I think.
Right.
So yeah, that was great.
Fantastic.
A nice little ramble through the woods, I think,
Exactly,
wasn't it?
yes.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. Yeah,
Excellent.
good. Thank you.